Welcome to At the Table,
where we are connecting entrepreneurs, discovering missions, and building communities with purpose, body, soul, mind, and business with
Charlie
and Heather with Free Time Solutions. Welcome to another Friday interview. I'm so excited to be at the table today. I am Heather, your host. My co-host today is Carol Lamar.
Hello.
And we are so excited today because we have Shana back in the house. And if you didn't see Shana's previous podcast, you're going to love her today. And it's so exciting is that this is like Cat Lovers Day. So Shana, why don't you go ahead and introduce what you're doing?
Yes. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you guys again. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Heather and Carol. It's very nice to meet you. And I'm looking forward to this time with you. So my name is Shana Rush, and I'm the founder of a 501c3 nonprofit organization called Biscuits Cat Haven. And we focus on cat rehab, rescue, and rehoming. We are not a shelter. We are actually a rescue organization that likes to partner with other nonprofits and rescue organizations to allow them to be able to say yes to more rescues that come through. And so the idea is that we want to be kind of like a temporary foster that allows them to be able to have more kitty cats get adopted. Their fosters can move their fosters into the shelters so they can get adopted, and then the ones can come out of us and go to them, allowing them to be able to save and rescue more. In addition to that, we do TNR work, which is called trap, neuter, release. And so, excuse me, we work with a lot of feral cats, stray cats, and feral cat colony care, where we trap them, we get them fixed, and we release them back to the same place with which we trap them from. And then eventually we would love to have a space of our own so that we can have our own sanctuary for those kitty cats that are ready for retirement and or have a hard time getting adopted. We'd love to have some feral cat colonies and work in a space of feral cat translocation, because it can be done, but it takes the right education and patience to be able to do so. So there you go. That's what I do.
Oh, thank you so much, Shana. And I think that's so exciting because today, if you haven't been following us, and I'm frozen. Okay, there we go. If you haven't been following us, and it's your first time today, Carol Lamar with Perfect Pals. Carol, will you tell us a little bit about you, what you do in your organization too?
So I'm the deputy director at Perfect Pals. I oversee all of the operations that we do here. Our organization has been around for over 30 years, and we specialize in special needs cats. So even though we do bring in healthy cats and kittens, our main goal is to get those cats that the other shelters can't take care of or don't have the resources to take care of, because they're focused more on strays and public surrenders. And so we will take those, and our wonderful donors have been great to be able to fund us so that we can get them all the health care that they need so that they become stable enough to go into a home. So we've got like diabetic cats and seizure cats and renal cats and the whole gamut. So in a nutshell, that's what we do.
And how long have you been working with Perfect Pals?
I am celebrating 10 years coming up in the next couple weeks. So
that's so
been a while.
So before we got started, we were asking Shana, like, how could we support her and what kind of things that she could use some help with today. And the first one was social media traction. And I think it's really exciting because you're on the podcast today, right? So of course we're going to be shouting you out, right? So I think that some of the things is I would love to offer you a social media audit so that Charlie and I could look at what's happening. So because it could be something like you accidentally shared a link in your main post that takes somebody off of Facebook, and Facebook tanked your algorithm. Or it could just be Facebook is being rude and we need to create a little bit more excitement in your feed, right?
Okay.
I think you're exciting and I follow you, obviously, but even for me, I am on Facebook off and on all day because of what I do. And I'm still getting stuff that's 4, 5, 7 days old. And I'm like, I would have loved to have loved on this the second this was posted. So everybody feels that sometimes, but when we're so focused on a goal, it's hard to see the big picture. So I would love to do that for you. So that's one big tip, is don't put links in your post. Collab. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of collaboration with other rescues, and anytime that you can tag each other back and forth, then that's creating community in the Facebook community. And then Facebook likes that, right? Because you're working together back and forth, and it builds community. She's
Thank
right.
you very much.
And these are just tips I'm giving you off the top of my head, right?
No, this is great. No, this is great. And I agree with you on the, social media is kind of like when you get email overwhelm and you just, things come in and they come in and they come in, and then you just start triaging whatever, you think is probably the most important, and whatever doesn't make it to the top, somebody will get back to you because you just can't get through all of them. And then with social media, because we use it so much, I mean, I know if I haven't been on hours when I come back, there's all these things from all these people. And it's like, now you're parsing out your time on, well, which one do I want to spend my time on? And I feel like there's a balance there too, between if it's too long, then they don't want to read it. But if it's not long enough, then it doesn't capture their attention and, evoke emotion. I don't always want to be like, hey, can you donate? And so we want to just share stories as well, and the kitty cats, and promote them, and and want people to share, if nothing more, just share who we are and get the word out.
Share one more secret that
Ooh,
nobody really talks about. So if you consistently post, even if it's long and you feel like nobody's looking at it, do you know who's looking at it? Google's looking at it. So when people are starting to search, Facebook is considered a credible source on Google. So it actually naturally boosts you in the search engines. So keep using your keywords, keep posting, even if you're not getting that engagement, you are boosting your SEO. And everyone's like, how do you boost your search engine optimization, right? Like, that's a scary, SEO is a scary term, but literally your consistency on Facebook actually boosts you up.
I did not know that. That's a good secret to know.
Yeah. And it's been fun because I didn't know. That's something we learned through experience, was like, wow, now we're Googling our the people we've been working with for 6 and 9 months. And we're like, look at their search engine optimization. How did that happen? Like, because we're doing the things, but when you do the things consistently, it's so cool to watch them come together. So yeah. Carol, do you have any suggestions or any
so we've been lucky enough to have someone who does the social media side of things here. So I'm actually not a wealth of information when it comes to that. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot to offer to that specific topic, except that our person does a fabulous job.
Well, and I'm hoping with Shelly, that's my former boss, when we were having dinner yesterday, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe she's got the time and she enjoys it, and she's a really great writer. So I'm like, you are welcome to play with this. You are welcome to post. I can drop videos and pictures inside a Google Drive for you and have at it. And I can kind of tell you what we're working on and what we're trying to accomplish and achieve, and that kind of thing, and see what she can do with it. Because if she's got more time, and even if she's got more expertise than I do, then maybe she'll make, a much further impact with that than I would. And I think that outsourcing some of those resources is probably more beneficial than if I'm the one that's always necessarily struggling to get it done. So, because sometimes having somebody else who's an SME works more in your favor than if you're the one who's trying to do it all.
Exactly. I also use a scheduling platform, and that was a game changer because I could always maintain consistency that way. And the consistency overrides the posting it yourself every day, because eventually you're going to slack off. It's going to happen. Life happens. You intended to, and it takes all of that intended to out of it. It's pretty awesome. I can
Yeah.
talk to you about that too.
Okay, that sounds great.
And anybody has questions like that, just schedule an appointment with me. We'll do it.
Okay, we'll do the things. We'll have the connections. I think that's great.
Yes,
That's awesome.
absolutely. I didn't know that we were going to be talking in my zone of genius today, so thank you. It's so nice, right? So next we wanted to talk about like upping our donation game. Like how do we start a nonprofit? How do we keep it going with donations? Any advice you could give us, Carol? What do you got?
Well, I mean, that first step is that 501c3, which, Shauna's already done, right?
Yes,
You have
ma'am.
that, right? Okay. Yeah. But with the donations, I mean, you have to start building that donor base, right? So it's getting that word out. So social media is part of that. Know your mission and vision. So if you don't have a mission and vision statement, you should work on those. Like, what is your ultimate goal for the organization, and make that into like a 1 or 2 sentence that blurb that just sums it all up,
Mhm.
and then have stories, like really strong success stories that you can share and say, like, this is why we do what we do, because Fluffy came into the organization and we were able to do this and this, and now they're on to finding their forever home kind of story, just that, they came in like this, we were able to help them this way, and then this is what the outcome was. And I would say, have a few stories in your arsenal that you know really well that you can share with people. Because I found a lot of people tend to like to give towards, even though we all know overhead is part of the cost, right? But people like to hear what you're doing with the programming, like the cats, like what's happening with the cats. How are you helping the cats?
Right.
I think deep down, most people know that you have to pay rent and you have to keep the lights on and you have to do all that stuff. But that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear about the cute kitties, the lilies that live in your office, and things like that. So
Right.
and one thing that we're finding, even after all these years, we've kind of ebbed and flowed with how we've engaged with the community. And recently we figured out that we're kind of losing a little bit of traction. So we were trying to figure out what's changed. And with COVID, we had stopped doing a lot of community events. And even just having a booth up, even if it feels like you're not getting a lot of traction from it, you're still out there, you're getting your name out into the community. And finding those, like, because I think the people locally are starting to realize, we're here, this is what we do, but getting out a little further than just our little spot, So like we're in Arlington, and I think Arlington's pretty solid with us for the most part, but getting out into those other areas and starting to move our feelers out further, and finding those community events in those other communities too. Yeah, I think that's a good start. I mean, things will grow, like we do we look for grants for funding
Yep.
also.
Mhm.
So my executive director does those mostly. We encourage people to do, even though Facebook fundraisers are kind of, there's a love-hate relationship with them because you
Mhm.
can't build a donor database from those. You're not getting personal information from them. But they're still, I mean, people like doing them. So encouraging people, if they want to do those, like, hey, you could do a fundraiser for your birthday on Facebook, and things like that. And that was the other thing, is having that donor database. So I don't know if you have anything that you're keeping track of donors in, but that way you can reach out. Like if you have a specific plea, like, oh, we're running low on kitty litter or food, or I have this one cat that's going to end up costing us extra because of whatever's going on with the kitty, you can reach out to that donor base and ask them specifically
Okay.
for, X amount, like, hey, I'm doing a plea on kitty litter. Would you be willing to donate towards that or something,
I do
So,
have, I'm
yeah.
keeping right now, it's a very poorly replicated version of a CRM inside Excel. So
Okay.
But it's
I had
still
actually,
something.
yeah, it's still something. So
Yeah.
I've got who they are, their information, what they did, also who they were referred
Mhm.
by. If I actually happen to know somebody who's from a referral perspective,
Oh, good.
got their email
Yeah.
address, and I personalize all of the thank yous to them right now.
Perfect.
I did talk to another lady. She's a tax specialist, and she used to run her own nonprofit, and she's like,
Oh,
go ahead
okay.
and invest in a CRM program or application.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be really expensive, but she guys like get one that's got email capability because it'll save a whole lot of time for you outside of doing it just in a
Mhm.
spreadsheet. So that is something I was going to look into and see kind of like from a cost perspective what I was looking at.
So there's
Yeah.
a free version of HubSpot.
Pub, like PUB?
Hub, HUB.
Hub? Okay.
HubSpot. And that's a great base CRM.
Okay.
And you can email stuff, and then you can move up into paid versions later, but like for free, you can like literally build it how you kind of want it. It's
Okay.
fairly intuitive. Not like you can watch YouTube Universe and get the basics of how to run, put your stuff in. For donations, I'm on the Marysville Police Foundation board, and we are also a 501c3, and we are using Divya. I'm not sure how to spell that, for our donations, and then it creates the donors database in there. So
Okay.
I actually would love to get you in contact with our bookkeeper, because she set that up for us. So
Okay.
I'm gonna write that down. Chelsea. Her name's Chelsea. She's been on the podcast. And she specializes. Hi.
Thank you. Sorry.
Coffee's good.
Oh my
Dabbling, it's a thing.
It is.
It's totally a thing. So
And then I also attended recently, and I don't know how much you guys know about this group. It was called Radical Marketing. I'm probably going to butcher that. They just recently put on a virtual marketing summit. It was 3 days. I didn't get to attend as many of the sessions that I wanted to, but it's geared towards nonprofits and marketing in nonprofit space. And so like Give Butter was a sponsor, and there was something called Fundraiser Up was another one that was a sponsor. And so they had all these different people that were there kind of designed to talk about what you can do from a marketing and a fundraising perspective in the nonprofit space. So they have another one coming in March. And Carol, I can share that information with you in case it's beneficial to you guys.
For sure.
What I did watch was actually really good. But no, Heather, I would love to talk to you about that, because I've downloaded QuickBooks online, so I've got all my accounting stuff in there. I'm doing accounting for now. Eventually, when I'm bigger and more is going on, I'll hire an accountant to do that. That way I make sure all my stuff is like kosher. And then I am going to work with the tax specialist that I'm working with is very knowledgeable in the 501c3 space and taxes. So that's not something that I want to try to learn. I want to be aware, but I will pay for somebody else to take care of that. So I'm all good.
I like that you're staying in your zone of genius and getting help in the correct areas, because those are all the areas you don't want to mess with, right?
No.
Seriously.
That's where just enough to be dangerous, but
I know how the clubs work, but I don't want to make no. Yes, absolutely. I actually like to know all the details and what's happening, but I don't need to know the nitty gritty of how you got there and why.
No.
No.
So, Shauna, do you have you been utilizing like your local businesses too for maybe getting supplies? Because one thing that we do is like Walmart will send us their damaged goods, and I mean, a damaged box of kitty litter is like, I mean, we're a little bit more pickier with food, but with some of those supplies, like we get stuff from the Amazon warehouse that's damaged, we get stuff from Walmart that's damaged. Petco and PetSmart are I don't know what you have in Texas, but we have Petco and PetSmart up here. Okay, they'll do food drives for us. So we've made connections with their managers. Yeah, they'll put a little bin out and say, we're doing a food drive this month for Perfect Pals, and they'll do different organizations, but they will do food drives, and we give them like a wish list, like this is kind of what we're looking for. And if we get anything, so we also have a food bank for our community, pet food bank. So anything that we can't use for the shelter, we put in the food bank so the community
Okay.
can use it. But yeah, that's been huge. Like we definitely don't have to buy as much out of our operating expenses because we get some of that stuff donated through the local
That's awesome. I
businesses in
didn't
the
even,
area. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't even know that was really an option. I was working
Yeah.
on putting together like a marketing sheet that I was going to send out to those that I know that work at companies and businesses, and then hit the community here too, and kind of try to promote Biscuits Cat Haven from a sponsorship donation perspective. I don't mind doing the work. I don't mind getting in front of people and talking, but trying to get those
Yeah.
connections made. And that's awesome. I will definitely look into that. Thank you.
Do you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that list of people you can refer people to? And there is a organization called the Boogie Bin, and founded for dogs, but they do other nonprofits as well. But they literally they are a nonprofit that collects donations and then distributes them to other nonprofits that need them.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
That is
And
cool.
yeah, and that's another local organization that someone had the idea for here too. But she puts bins in different locations and people just drop off their donations at the Boogie Bin. Like,
That's way cool.
That's cool.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
nope, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to tell you the other thing that I wanted to make sure if you didn't know about this already, but workplace giving. A lot of companies, like here we have like, Microsoft and Boeing and stuff like that, but they will, the employees can set up a giving through their work. So it comes out of their paycheck. And then some of those companies will match.
Mm-hmm.
So if if an employee gives $50, they'll give us 100, kind of thing, depending on the matching. So I'm not 100% sure how to get your foot in the door on that, but I can find out and get you information on how to get something like that started too.
That would be great. Because something that I
Yeah.
would love to do, I know we're talking about my organization, but I've gotten connected with a lot of other rescue organizations in my community. So I started, and then it's been amazing. One of my current business coaches, her name is Jackie Cote. One of the things that I keep telling her over and over again is I just cannot believe, since I have really leaned in and stepped into this, I cannot believe the number of connections that I have made since we have started. And it's amazing the people that I have met and all in this space, right? And like you're one of them.
Right.
And so the more I meet, and the more I meet, I meet some more. And it's happening really fast. That's the other thing. I'm trying to like keep track of who all I'm meeting, but it's proving to be it's a bit overwhelming because there's so much, because they're all great connections. And so it's I see the struggles, like I see my own and I see theirs. And Texas is in a huge crisis right now with animal overpopulation, and trying to get donations and trying to find funding and trying to find people and manpower. And, we're hitting a point where it's just not enough. And so, and you talk about somebody with special needs. I have a lady that runs her own sanctuary, and she does nothing but special needs cats. She's paraplegic cats, all of that kind of stuff. And she's got an amazing staff of people. But again, it's the funding and it's the keeping the project going and the program. And so learning these things for me allows me to share this with them and be able to collaborate on how we can make bigger impacts and bigger programs. Because at the end of the day, I don't just want to make a local impact. I want to make a global impact, and I want to create programs and things that we can do that is repeatable and integratable all across the world that helps with this.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. I think too, like the industry went from, everyone was kind of doing their own thing. And in the 10 years I've been doing this, I have seen all these shelters and organizations come together because they see that each organization kind of has their niche. And if they all work together, we can make a bigger impact. And if we're not fighting against each other, going, well, I don't like how you're doing it, and I don't like how you're doing it. And we all may have different ways to get there, but really the overall goal is to make sure these animals are taken care of and to be their voice, right? And so I think people are starting to come to that realization that if we work together, we're going to make a bigger impact than if we're working against each other just because we don't agree with a couple things here and there, you know?
Right. And then being worried too, I think the financial aspect is like, well, if if I share this information to you, will I still get whatever I'm looking for, what my organization needs? And
Yeah.
so, and I want, and that's something that's always been a big thing in every company I've worked for and over my career is that collaboration and in building that communication and that community within what we do and bridging that gap there that kind of comes with it and empowering others to realize that if you really share your knowledge and we come together as a group and we talk about the goals and the things we're trying to achieve and the impact we're trying to make, you're fine that we're all really looking for the same thing. And if we all bring our expertise to the table, we can do so much more together collectively than we ever could if we do it independently.
Right.
And I think one of the things that happens is compassion fatigue. So it becomes harder to be part of that community when you yourself are your cup is empty. You're no longer serving from your overflow and you're taking from your reserves. You don't feel good. So you don't show up with your peers in a way that's conducive to that kind of environment. So why don't we talk about a little bit of compassion fatigue before we finish up today? Carol, you want to get on the soapbox? Because I know you're a little bit talk about it.
Yeah. I could talk about this all day because it affects almost everyone who's in some sort of caregiver role. And I think when you see the hard cases from where they're coming from, like, I think we're in this industry because we're compassionate and we're empathetic, and you tend to take on those feelings and you have to be able to compartmentalize that or you're going to burn out really fast.
Absolutely.
And saying no is hard. Like, because what you have on the other end of that is a living creature, and you don't know if you say no, you start struggling with those feelings of what if I was their last chance? Where are they going to be? What happened to them after I said no? And I had a friend who just recently, she works in the veterinary field in a private practice, and she reached out to me to see if we could take one of their cats that someone had surrendered because they couldn't afford care. And right now we're in a position where, at least with the clinic going into this construction mode, just temporarily to fix this leak, we really can't have a lot of cats coming through because we can't properly care for them if we don't have our clinic available for a week. So I had to tell her no this time. And I told her, I said, I feel really bad that we can't take him. And her response, and I'm going to read it, it's like on my computer back here, but she said, the shelter is unfortunately not an endless well. You say no to one, so you can continue to say yes to many others. And that was so reassuring, even though I've been doing this for so long and I've told myself that, I've told my staff that, like in that moment, it was just that reminder that we can't save them. Like we individually can't save them all. It's going to take a collective to make that huge dent. But what we can do is what we can do, right?
Yep.
Like we're limited by finances, we're limited by space and resources. We do not have an endless well of all these resources. So we do the best with what we have. And we try not to walk away with that feeling of guilt because we couldn't do more,
Right.
And it's not as easy as just saying, I'm not going to feel guilty because, we want to help them all. We really do.
That we all wish
But
it could just be like, oh,
yeah. I know, right? I wish I could just be like, sure, bring your cat. Yep, you too. Bring your cat. Yep, and you too. Bring your cat.
Because once they find out you do, and you open that door, they're like, whoosh, they come in like your floodgates. And so that's a great, I would love for you to share that. Can you read that again? Because I think that's really powerful. That's a really powerful thing she said to you. And I think that's super important, especially for anybody else watching this. And for other nonprofits that we can share this with, and rescue organizations, and to your point, caregivers, because it does go beyond just the fur babies.
Right.
That's true. Because so read that again if you don't mind. I think that was really great.
So she said, the shelter is unfortunately not an endless well. You say no to one, so you can continue to say yes to many others. So very profound. And I love that she just said it in such a succinct couple sentences, because that's probably going to be my mantra.
Yeah. And I wish that others, people that are not in this space that do this work, but they're the ones that reach out for the help, or the variations of the reasons why they can't keep their animals, or why they're going to have to let them go, or those that find them abandoned, or whatever the case is, the stories, right? Because the stories are numerous. They run the full gamut of everything from I just don't want it to I can't to lifestyle changes to whatever.
Right.
And, you know, it's, as a person who owns cats and as a person who runs a nonprofit organization, at least for kitty cats, and I have several friends that do the dog space, and you just, you know, when you're watching and you're experiencing it, it's really frustrating and it's very difficult, and it can be very disheartening at times, because we pour our hearts and souls into these guys because they deserve it. You know, why shouldn't they?
Right.
They deserve it. They rely 100% on us. They didn't ask to be here. We brought them here. And so, it's our responsibility to make sure they're cared for and they're loved and safe. And so when they're just discarded like a piece of trash, it is very difficult sometimes emotionally to wrap your head and heart around it. And then to your point, if you can't always say yes to save one, then you're like, oh, you know, and so,
I try to, my team sometimes struggles with the people that come with the animals because there is that level of, I mean, you don't know their full story. Sometimes they act kind of aloof about the animals when they bring them in, but that could be their way of protecting themselves from all the feelings because they don't want to give up their cat, right? But I tell people, like, even if there has been times that people have walked in and I'm listening to this and I'm dealing with this person and I'm thinking, okay, just sign the cat over and leave. Like, you need to just give me your cat and exit the door, you know, and those are very rare. But what I tell my team, like when we get those hard cases, or if we get animals that we get transferred in from abuse cases and hoarding cases, is I understand that this animal came from a really bad place, but now they're with us. So let's focus on getting them healthy and better and finding them a home. And let's not focus on their past and what they went through, you know, because that's what's going to end up, you know, making us burnt out and making us sad all the time and dealing with all that. But now it's like, I acknowledge their past and that was rough and we all heard about it and we all know about it. But now let's focus on giving that cat a better space, helping them heal physically and emotionally, and then finding them that home, you know? And I think that kind of helps them get out of that mode of like, wow, that person was a piece of work, you know? That person was
we have our own
else.
acronyms for that.
Those are really, really rare moments. I mean, usually it's, mom had to go into assisted living, or my loved one passed away, or, or I got evicted. I have to move. I can't move into a place where my animals. Sorry. Lily has her opinions too, apparently.
She's like, speaking of which, let me tell you what I feel about this.
Yeah. And I tell people too, it's like people come here because they want to work with the animals, but people come with those animals. So there is that level of having to, be kind and compassionate, because a lot of times if we're not walking in their shoes, we don't know. Right.
Yeah.
And not focusing on, well, I would never surrender my cat. I would always take them with me. I'm like, that's what you say until you're in a situation where you can't. And so let's not judge. Let's not, all that stuff. So, yeah.
And I think that one of the things for me, and that I mentioned to those that I, volunteer with and what have you, is that I know we can't say yes to all of them, but for every cat we say yes to, we do make an impact. It may not feel like you make an impact, but you do, because as you know, exponentially, one cat can create thousands and thousands of cats over their lifetime. And that one that comes, the females that coming out can do even more. And so it's such if you do the math, and within inside of 1 year, you're like, oh my God, that's just out of one cat. Now take that and take a feral group of 20, or take an abandoned group of 50. And then suddenly you're like, holy crap, that's a lot. So for every single cat you say yes to, you do make an impact. And don't minimize the impact you're making for one cat at a time. Yeah. You make an impact one cat at a time. That is, for me, when I can't always say yes, that's what I go to, that I remember. It's, for each one that I do make an impact. And it's one of the reasons why I really enjoy TNR work. I travel around probably about 20 miles from my house to go help. And I've been to Plantersville and Spring and Cypress and whatever, because
And
It's
for those of you who don't know, TNR means trap and release.
trap, neuter, and release. Yes.
Neuter and release. Okay.
It's the idea behind these kind of programs and these efforts that we do is that, you can't bring every cat inside. Some cats don't do well as inside cats anyways. And some of these guys have only ever lived outdoors. And so what their homes and what they know is where they are. So what you're doing is that you're humanely trapping them, and then you're getting them fixed, and they're getting their vaccines, and they get a little ear notch so that visually, because a lot of these guys are feral and don't let you touch them, you know who you've been able to take care of. And then they go back into their environment where they've lived and they're comfortable and they're safe, and that's what they know. If you actually take them out of that and you fix them and you drop them somewhere completely altogether different, they aren't going to know it. They aren't going to be safe, and the odds are they're not going to adapt, and then they won't make it. But for everyone that you do, you're preventing feline overpopulation, at least in that one cat, and that cat's healthier for it. And then you do another one, and it's the same thing. And there's the fosters, and then you find them homes, and then there's the TNR work, which is more immediate. And I'm a part of an effort where once a month we do a free TNR clinic, and we'll do 150 cats in one day, where we spay and we neuter. And all these people in the city of Houston that trap in all the different areas that are around us, they go trap cats, they bring them in, and we spend a whole day spaying and neutering. And those guys take them back home, and they care for them and give them what they need, and then they go back to their outdoor environments when they're ready.
Oh,
So, but one cat at a time.
one
You are
cat at
making
a
a difference.
time.
Right.
Yeah. I love this too, because as caregivers, sitting in the gratitude for what you can do instead of looking at what you can't do.
Yes.
That's a beautiful
Right.
place to fill your cup in what you can do and what you're able to do. And I love that coming together, we can talk about these things. So thank you, ladies, so much for this amazing conversation.
Yeah.
I talk about cats all day.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know for us that Carol has the Black Cat Ball coming up in October, the second weekend. There's tickets available if you'd like to come and be part of that experience and help.
What is that?
What was that?
What is it? What is your
the Black Cat Ball, Carol?
It is our annual auction fundraiser. So it's we get together, we've got people who donate a lot of items, and some companies that'll donate items and trips and things. So we have a silent auction, and we also have a live auction, and there's food, and we do a costume contest because it's usually around Halloween. So yeah, it's just a fun night, it's really fun, the silent auction, because as it's closing, everyone kind of rushes back and they're like, am I still the top bidder? And the live auction gets pretty crazy sometimes too. You get people who see something they really want, and they just, there's maybe two people going, raising their paddles over it, and you're just like, wow, this is so cool. But it's just really neat to see our donors come together and just have a fun night, and putting a face to their names too, which is always fun because I see their names, I know kind of who they are, but then I get to meet them, and then it's always a bunch of just crazy cat people. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So yeah.
Is I take it this is local to where you are. Can
It
those
is.
that are not local maybe donate towards your silent auction or your live auction or whatever? How would that work if other organizations wanted to be involved in that with you?
So I mean, I will never turn away a donation. There's a donate button on our website if that's, if you want to just donate to our, general operating expenses. As for Black Cat Ball, like if it's a physical item, I mean, you'd have to be able to ship it to us to be there. But if it's something like a trip or an experience, we could always have that conversation. If you go to our website at perfectpals.org, there is a button for Black Cat Ball, and on there is the sponsorship and donor information.
Okay.
So if you have something that you wanted to give, we're going to try to close that down around September 15th, which gives us about 4 weeks to get everything prepped for the actual event.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes we get trips and things like that donated. So they're always not always local companies and stuff like that that do that. So yeah,
Well, that's fantastic. I will definitely go take a look
yeah,
at that.
Thank you so
yeah, it's a
much.
lot of fun.
So all the fun things
Yeah.
are happening. Do you have any fun events coming up for you, Shana?
Me, in terms of like with Biscuits Cat Haven?
Yeah, do you have any or big events that you're taking part of?
So I haven't put together any fundraiser type campaign type things yet. That is actually on my list of to-dos. to come up with something. I actually was thinking about potentially doing a golf tournament in the spring. It's so hot here right now that trying to do anything between now and November is just miserable. The last couple of days have been nice. We do joke we've been in the 109s and 110s, and so when it's 97, we're like, oh, it's nice. Where usually we're like, oh, 97 is so hot, but all perspective wise, not so much. But we have really pretty springs here, and so my dad and my husband actually and my brother-in-law are getting ready to go do a golf tournament here in October, and so it was something I actually was going to kind of pay attention to what they're doing, because I think that is something we have these there here a lot, and they go over really well. And being able to do a fundraiser of that event. And not only would proceeds come to us, but I would love to be able to collaborate with some of the other rescue organizations in the community and see if we can't make a community impact with something like that. So
that would be
that is
really
something that
cool
I-
because you can put a different organization at each
each
hole.
hole. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they
And do
visit
some,
all the
prizes and
organizations.
raffles and what have you. Yeah. So that is something that I'm looking at. And then the biggest needs right now is we have 7 kitty cats that are ready here at the middle and end of September for their spays and their neuters and their final vetting, so they could be adopted out. So I was raising funds for that to make sure we have it, so it's not coming out of my pocket. And then there are the TNR events that are coming up, and they're also doing a vaccine clinic in our local area too, which is where people they'll go to a low income area and they offer free vaccines and microchipping for dogs and cats. It's through Team Carol,
Fantastic.
and that group is amazing. Yeah, I've really appreciated becoming a part of that community with them and the things that they offer, because they go to the like Cleveland, Texas, where they don't always have as much resources available to be able to take care of the animals that they do have, and education wise as well. And so it's really great to be a part of that effort. And so those things that I have going on currently.
Oh, so many wonderful, amazing things happening. I'm very excited for all of us and on the journey that we're on and growing the things we're growing and stepping into who we are and being such amazing leaders. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me today.
Thank you for the
Thank you
opportunity.
for-
This has been great.
And thank you to our audience for watching. I hope you got some amazing nuggets out of this. And of course, all of the contact information for these ladies will be down below in the description, ready for you. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaste.
Thank you so much.
As entrepreneurs, we have a unique opportunity to make a positive impact in the world around us. In a time when the world is shifting towards supporting local businesses and embracing community-driven initiatives, it becomes even more important for us to give where our heart leads us. At the table, we believe in the power of giving back, and that's why we have our cause of the quarter. This quarter, we are proud to support Perfect Pals, a local organization dedicated to rescuing and providing care for stray cats in our community. By supporting local causes like Perfect Pals, we not only make a difference in the lives of those in need, but we also contribute to the growth and well-being of our local community. We believe in small acts of kindness, and they can create a ripple effect of positivity, inspiring others to do the same. As we shift our focus solely from supporting large corporations to championing local businesses and giving back, we not only strengthen our community, but we also foster a sense of connection and unity. Together, we can create a thriving ecosystem where everyone can flourish. So let's follow our hearts and give where it truly matters. Join in supporting Perfect Pals and making a difference in the lives of these furry companions. Together we can make our community a better place, one act of kindness at a time. Thank you for being part of our journey and for embracing the spirit of giving. Together, let's create a brighter future for all. Are you tired of juggling endless tasks, struggling to find time for what truly matters? We have the solution for you. Introducing Free Time Solutions, your ultimate partner in reclaiming your time and maximizing your potential. At Free Time Solutions, we specialize in helping businesses like yours thrive in a digital world. From social media management to website optimization and branding, we have the expertise to elevate your online presence and streamline your operations. Imagine having time to focus on what you love to do while we take care of your business. With our dedicated team of experts and innovative solutions, we leave you free to pursue your passions and achieve your goals. Whether you are a small business owner, entrepreneur, freelancer, we offer comprehensive services tailored to your needs. Our goal is simple: to give you back time, freedom to do what you do best while we handle the rest. So join us at the table and let Free Time Solution empower you to take control of your time and unlock your full potential. Visit our website at www.yourfreetimeback.com. That's www.yourfreetimeback.com to learn more and schedule your consultation today. Free Time Solutions, your partner in success. Let's make the most of your free time together. Thank you for joining us at the table. Stay tuned for weekly readings on Sunday, Mindset Monday, discussing our weekly readings on Monday, and on Friday, our interview and potentially guest hosts. Stay tuned.
Thank you for joining in on the fun. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.